let's get crackin'. Oh God, I hate myself for that. Or as Pheromone would say, let's get this roast a cookin'. Hello, sinners, and hail Sappho. It's me, your host, Mrs. DeVille, and welcome to Femme Makeup Chats. I love this. Oh, that's way too much tape. Okay, so this is totally unrelated to this video, but I do want to talk about this because I am over the moon. By the time this video goes up, it will be like, it'll be a good amount of time, so I don't feel bad spoiling. The winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15 is my girl Sasha. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I have been hoping for this moment. I literally, IRL, screamed at the top of my lungs. My neighbors probably thought I was being murdered, but what are you gonna do? I was excited. I was so excited. I'm so happy for her. Congratulations, congratulations. So well deserved. I cannot think. I mean, I would have been happy with Anitra too. I thought she was very, very good throughout this whole season, but like, I was Team Sasha. What can I say? You know, trans girls gotta represent. Okay, what am I thinking for this makeup look? Shit. Oh wait, I'm gonna do blue. What am I talking about? Why am I pretending like I don't know what I'm doing? Oh, this is gonna be fun. I just realized I don't know where my fucking beauty blender is. Oh, okay. Always prepared. Always the consummate professional me. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna just make this work. Also, don't clock my nails. The gel that I just did literally last week, like I didn't even film this video in advance. I did this gel last week and it's already gone. I don't know what to say about that. It is what it is. Like, there's just no getting around that. Okay, let's go ahead. That was a sound. Okay, I'm just gonna put this on with my fingy like this is high school. And we're putting on makeup with our fingies. That's a thing. Okay. So, I've been thinking about this kind of a lot, and I don't know, I kind of debated whether or not I wanted to make it a whole thing, but because it's become more and more prevalent in my life, I kind of figured I have to talk about this. And obviously, if you've seen the title of this video, you know what it's about, but I'm also trying to like be very, very careful in my phrasing because I'm really like cognizant of, I don't want to perpetuate or further like any kind of like diet culture, basically. Like, I'm not at all trying to perpetuate diet culture. For me, this is very, very specifically a one situation thing. So this week's video, I'm talking about the fact that I have to lose weight in order to get bottom surgery, which is something that I have never discussed before. And I, like, again, it's kind of like nobody's business, like any kind of weight loss journey or whatever. But the reason I decided I wanted to make this video is I know this is a subject a lot of people do not know about. I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to people and I'm like, yeah, you know, I have to lose weight in order to like qualify for bottom surgery. And they're like, what? Like, what? I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to talk about numbers. I am not going to talk about like diet plans. That's not what this video is. This isn't going to be some like diet channel now. I'm just kind of talking about this as like an informational thing and also talking about it from like a, you know, I don't know, like just, it felt like something I needed to talk about. And I think part of what inspired it is I saw this comic on Tumblr not yesterday, like maybe a week ago. I don't even know. Time is a flat circle. Anyway, so I saw this comic that was talking about, you know, basically this person was in a doctor's office and they were basically like talking about how this person was at a doctor's office and they were upset because the doctor was trying to get them to do bariatric surgery. And this other person who was like thinner was like, oh yeah, you should totally do that. And they're like, but I didn't come in here for that. I came in here to get bottom surgery. And they're like, well, that's, you know, you can't do that. That's so bad. That's so wrong, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that is very much the narrative. I think people are so comfortable with you getting surgery for literally anything else, you know? If a, and I'm sure I've talked about this before. I've certainly thought about it before. It is kind of frustrating how, like, you know, if you're a cis person, you can go in and get literally all of the same treatments that a trans person can get, but it's not a big deal because you're cis. So, like, if you're a cis person and you want, you know, any kind of breast augmentation, you can get that. Any kind of facelift, you can get that. Any kind of hairline surgery, you can get that. There are cis people who are taking the exact same hormones that I do, just for different treatments and different reasons. And it's like, it's not a big deal. No one's trying to regulate them being able to get hormones. But somehow, because I'm trans, that's what makes it an issue for people. And that gets really, really frustrating. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's a lot of things, and but it's a lot of things, it's a lot of frustrations, but it boils down to, for me, I need to do this. You know, regardless of anything else, again, I don't want to perpetuate diet culture, so I'm not going to be talking about, like, this isn't a weight loss journey video. This is not going to be talking about, like, any specific goals, any specific timelines. This is not going to be talking about any of that. This is strictly, like, informational. I am telling you something that I have to do. And I'm sure there's going to be some people who have been on my channel for a long time who are going to be like, well, I know you've wanted this for a long time. Like, why now is this something you're, like, really, really into? And I guess the answer to that is, like, the whole, like, I've known from the beginning that I needed to lose weight in order to get bottom surgery. I've always known that was always kind of a hurdle and a sticking point for me, because it just, I think what people don't realize is, like, losing weight is actually so much more difficult than people imagine it is. I think people think, oh, well, all you have to do is stop making bad eating decisions and you'll just magically lose weight. And it's just like, that's not at all how this works. That's not even remotely how this works. And so, you know, I have done things. I have been, you know, working out since last year. I was at a point last year where I was working out literally, I was doing 6 days a week, 90 minutes a day. I was working out 4 months, and I was smart about what I ate. I was smart about so many different things, and I did not lose anything. And it drove me up the wall, but I kept doing it because it wasn't about losing weight at that point. It was specifically about, you know, mental health. It was about working out for my mental health, which I am a big proponent of. I will say, I think exercising, you know, doing all those things for your mental health is a real thing. I know, again, I don't subscribe to diet culture. I don't subscribe to weight loss culture. But, like, there's something to be said about, you know, exercising for your mental health. I am a big, big, big proponent of that. And so, you know, that's why I was doing it. I was exercising specifically at that point for my mental health, but also, like, I knew that, you know, ultimately I did know this was, like, part of the end goal, but it did feel very, very difficult. It felt very, very out of reach for a lot of reasons. It felt out of reach. You know, I think there's a whole discussion about, like, the medical field and the cost of things like any kind of surgery, but especially something like bottom surgery. You know, there is so many different factors of things that make it feel out of reach for people. And, you know, not every insurance, even if you have insurance, not every insurance company covers it. So that's its own hurdle. And so it's just, you know, it's thing after thing after thing after thing after thing, right? However, I think what's changed for me is I feel more, I don't know what to say. I just feel more like confident in my ability to make this change, but like also, you know, to not to harp too much on last week's video, but like from a, you know, manifesting perspective too, I feel more you know, confident in that realm. I feel more like I can do this now. I can make this change. I can, you know, get exactly, do exactly what I need to do, basically. Like, I feel like I believe in that now, whereas before I wasn't quite there mentally. I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's just how I feel about it. Like, I feel now like, oh yeah, I can do this. I know that I can do this now. Whereas before it didn't feel as possible. And right now this feels really, really possible. This feels really, really like something that can absolutely not only can happen, but is going to happen. I am much more interested in saying, okay, this is what I have to do, and I'm gonna do it because like this is the top priority, period. Like, for me, going through this process, having bottom surgery is it. That's like the whole point for me. Like, that's everything to me. So, you know, if I have to, you know, you're already altering your body one way, so what the fuck is altering it another way and losing weight? Like, you know, whatever. If that's what I'm required to do, then whether I like it or not is kind of irrelevant. But like I said, the whole point of talking about this is more about just saying, like, just making this reality like known to people, because like I said, I've had so many people who either aren't trans, or if they are trans, they're already thin, so this didn't ever affect them. And when I tell them, like, yeah, I have to lose X amount of weight in order to get this surgery, they're always shocked. They're always, always shocked. I do want to say this too, because this is part of the reason I don't like getting into anything to do with like the diet industry and diet culture is like, let's be clear, your weight does not determine your worth. Your weight should not determine your worthiness or your womanliness or your anything. Your weight should have nothing to do with any of this. And so that is why I refuse to talk like, this is how much I have to lose. This is how I'm going to do it. This is, you know, I just am not going to talk about any of that, because that is not the point of this. The point of this is informational. The point of this is to talk about, and by the way too, just in case, this is not an invitation to give me diet advice. This is not an invitation to give me exercise advice. This is not an invitation to tell me what you think about my body. People do that enough as it is. I don't frankly give a shit what you think. That is not the purpose of this at all. The purpose of this is just purely informational, and to talk about how I feel about this. Point blank, period. Like, it's not an invitation to anything else. And so if you feel so inclined, I encourage you to shut up. You know, like, that's what it is. Like, I encourage you to mind your own business, shut the fuck up, tell someone who cares, because it isn't me. I am not interested in advice. I am not interested in, you know, any of it. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. If I have a cousin who is a professional personal trainer and has been for many, many years. If I wanted advice, I'd know exactly where to get it. And it's not going to be from some jackass on YouTube. Like, let's be clear about that. So, you know, that's just number one. I just wanted to get that out there. I'm not interested. I'm not soliciting advice. I am not fielding questions. Again, I've already said this is not a subject of like where I have any interest in any of that. I'm not interested in talking about specifics or numbers or anything like that. I am just purely talking about, you know, this is what I've got to do, you know, in order to get this done. Like, this is just what needs to be done, is basically what it is. So, but I wanted to make a video about it because I cannot remember and maybe I'm just not following the right people. I cannot remember a single time where I have heard a trans person talking about their experience where they talked about any of this. I feel like most of them that I've heard who, like, you see their videos and their story about transitioning and bottom surgery and all of that, I feel like I have never, ever, ever heard one single person talk about this. Not once. And I'm not saying that there are not people having this conversation, because there absolutely are. What I'm saying is, like, I don't think I've ever seen it on YouTube. I have never found that kind of video. So if it exists, it's like, you know, algorithmically just not seen. And that's fine. Like, and again, too, I do want to preface this. It's not really anyone's business. So if someone hasn't made a video on it, because, you know, not everyone has to, obviously, it's not everyone's business. So I respect that as well. Like, if that's the reason, it's like, okay, you know what? That is valid. It is not everyone's business. But I do feel like, you know, part of the reason too I want to make this video, not just, you know, for all trans people, because it is a subject that we should know about. And I think we don't, you know, if nobody says it and it's just kind of like a private thing, you almost feel like you're the only one who's dealing with this issue, and you're the only one who is, like, struggling with the feelings of, like, you do kind of feel like you're under a time limit. I just feel like nobody talks about this. And when you are a person who this is, like, who's going through this and who has this experience, and, like, no one else is talking about it, you almost feel like, oh my God, am I the only one? Like, is this literally just me? And I know it's not, because I know there's plenty of trans people who are bigger who are experiencing this. I think the other thing is too, is, like, in the beginning of your transition, everything feels so immediate. When you first like, realize and finally put a word to this feeling that you've had, everything feels like, oh my God, I have to do this yesterday. And, you know, after a while, once you're almost 10 years on, like I am, you start to feel like, I mean, there is still that immediacy for this, but it's also kind of like, I feel like for a while there, it just felt so impossible and so out of reach that it was not even just overwhelming. It was just so, like, it was like so much to consider that it just felt completely insurmountable for such a long time. Like, I've known the entire time that I realized I was trans, I have known that I needed and or wanted bottom surgery. I've known the whole time. For the last decade, I've known. And so I'm sure there are some people who think, well, why was this not as important a decade ago? Why isn't this something you've been working on for the last decade? And the only thing I can say to that is, like, it just felt so insurmountable. And I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm not going to, you know, I'm just talking about, this is my own personal experience with this. This is my own personal, you know, what I had to deal with and what I was feeling for such a long time, is that in so many different ways, this whole process felt insurmountable. It felt insurmountable monetarily. It felt insurmountable in terms of, like, the weight loss. It felt insurmountable in terms of, you know, every little thing that I have to do and had to do. It just all felt insurmountable. And it was always, like, one of those things that I, like, in my head, I was like, so many people have done this before me. This has been a surgery that's been around for many, many, many years, like decades, and people have all done it and they've all managed, but you know, I don't know how. And it just felt so insurmountable and so, like, you know, how do you do that? How do I cross this bridge? How do I do this thing that is so important and so necessary, but truly feels... I've had this for so long that I'm, like, debating, like, is it a good idea to put this on my lips? It's such a pretty color. Not really the same gold, though, so I don't know. You know, it's something that has been on my mind for so long, and it's been in my mind for so long, but it's also felt so insurmountable for so long. And I don't think people get that. There is very much a mental toll that it takes on you knowing that in order to do something that everyone in the community agrees is life-saving, in order to do something that everyone in the community agrees is so necessary and so worthwhile and so important, you know, you have to do all of this work and all of this effort just to even get in the door, just to, you know, get yourself, just to, you know, make that a possibility. You have to do so much. It has felt for such a very, very long time like this very insurmountable, impossible mountain that I had to climb. And that takes a toll. Like, I can't stress it enough. It takes a toll on your mental health when you know, hey, there is this thing that I need, but I you know, I don't know how the fuck to do. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Sorry. It's like, there's this thing that I need, but I have no earthly idea how to make it happen. I have no earthly idea how to do what needs to be done in order to have this. And when nobody else is talking about it, or at least I didn't see anyone else talking about it, it also feels like I am dealing with this all alone. I am dealing with this on my own. I am climbing this hill on my own. And that's even more stressful. That is even more like mentally taxing when you feel like you are the only one battling this. You are the only one who's dealing with this. And like, logically, I know that I'm not. Logically, of course, I know that I'm not the only one dealing with this. I'm not the only one who has ever dealt with this or whoever will deal with this. But it is arguably a fact that, you know, look, visibility matters. Being seen matters. Seeing someone who is like you and who is going through a similar experience to you is everything. It means everything to people. And so if I can be that visibility for someone else who is in the situation where, you know, they feel like, so this is such an insurmountable thing, this is such a like hill that they don't even know where to start, and a hill to climb that they don't even know where to start, and they don't even, you know, it's so many things to consider and so many things to think about, then I'm happy to be that visibility, and that's what I want. And so, you know, when I came up with this idea, when I decided I wanted to do this video, I knew from the get-go that it was going to be challenging, because I knew that I wanted to discuss this subject in a way that was not trying to glorify weight loss culture or diet culture, that was not trying to make this specifically just about my weight and just about losing weight and just about all of that, because I think that's a very bad headspace to be in. I think that's not something that, like, I don't want to see that. I don't want other people to see that. And so, like, I know how that can affect your mental health. And that's another thing too, is like any conversation about weight or weight loss or anything about that, it is so intrinsically tied into how we as people see ourselves, how other people see us, how other people treat us. And so that does make it even, you know, that adds a layer to this, is like, you know, anytime you're talking about weight or weight loss or, you know, anything to do with that, there is such a, like, it's a very personal subject, it's a very visceral subject, and it is not something that is easy to discuss or even often comfortable to discuss. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like this video, comment down below. I would love to hear other people who are experiencing like similar things, who are going through like knowing that they need and or want bottom surgery but need to lose weight or need to change something, you know, whatever it is that they need to adjust so that this is possible for them. I would love to hear about that. Again, this is not me asking for advice on losing weight or exercise. This is not a call for you to, this is not, you know, open season for you to make comments or thoughts or give me your opinions. I don't really give a shit about that. I don't want to hear it. and I will delete the comments. And until next time, stay devilish. I already miss my nails, you guys. I can't. I know it's been 3.2 seconds, but what can I say? I already miss the nails. It was a good time. I like how they look for videos, especially. Like, I did buy nail glue, so maybe I'm gonna do like my gel nails that I've been doing just like as press-ons. Maybe that'll be fun.